I was going to start this video with my impression of Lil Jon, but it's too loud. I think it is too loud for YouTube servers. After all these videos though, you surely have come to understand the capabilities of my vocal range. And I like to think that you can all personally agree in your heads that I am more than up to the task of doing an impression of Lil Jon that you will never hear because YouTube might delete my channel for exceeding the maximum volume. This is Captain America 244, and this is the first ever Captain America issue that one of my subscribers got, and they requested that I review it. So this one is for you. Come on, Pilgrim. This is a good issue to start reading Captain America. We have a Hank Miller cover, inked by Al Milburn, and it has Captain America ready to battle this story's bad guy, Adonis. I reviewed part 1 a few weeks ago, and to quickly recap here, there was an elderly dying man who wanted to skirt death somehow, and so he had used his wealth to keep himself alive with machines. And then he wanted to put his mind into... He tried to put his mind into one of the S.H.I.E.L.D. robotic duplicates. One of those bodies. However, the hard man's son was a little shit and fucked with all the knobs. And now the perfect, everlasting robot body has been transformed into this melty monster man body. He is called Adonis. It is an ironic name. And this is a very simple but entertaining story. Adonis escapes, and now Captain America must hunt down this wayward freak before he causes trouble. Adonis is a very serviceable enemy. He doesn't have much to him, and nearly everything done with him is what you would expect, and maybe even a bit cliché. Sometimes bad guys like that work. One thing I have been meaning to discuss is that often it sounds like I put values on characters based on how many times they appear. I sometimes say shit like, oh, and these characters never appear again, so who cares? Or I will say, this bad guy actually is in quite a lot of stories after this. I say things like that as if they are definitive statements of their quality. I think things like that can be an indicator of the quality of a creation, but they are characters where it is appropriate that they never appeared again, and they are some shockingly awful characters that should never have appeared again. For example, I thought the Vid kids from that Wolfman issue, they were decent enough, and they were only in that one issue. Adonis here is another one. Do we really need another Adonis story ever? He was created, I would assume, with the intention of this being his story. Him serving the purpose of being a bad guy for a story. And that is that. We hit on most of the points we need to hit on with Adonis. We had his origin. We have this stuff with the I am a monster angst. And then we have the eventual fight, defeat, and death of Adonis. Another thing I want to talk about is Captain America and his stories. This one is completely a basic superhero story. You could even... This is sometimes a criticism, but you could replace Captain America with Spider-Man or with Daredevil, and you would still have a very, very similar comic. I'm saying this on the one page where it has Steve Rogers thinking to himself about Steve Rogers things, as if I want to make myself look wrong. The point that I am trying to make isn't to say that this is a generic story, or that the core story is, but that Captain America, any superhero really, does need to have generic adventures from time to time. Again, these two pages are exclusive to Steve Rogers. Oh, quickly, I want to mention that Roy Sternman and Jason Byrne did not create these supporting characters. Slums McKenzie did. Very common misconception though. Bernie Rosenthal was Roy Sternman and Jason Byrne, but the rest weren't. Generic black man, Mike Fireman, and the landlady that the next issue is about, they were all Slums McKenzie, not Roy Sternman and Jason Byrne. Captain America 237. I think it was that one that introduced them. To get back to my point, people nowadays see Captain America as the political book. And some people really think that the book being political at all is shit and stupid. But obviously it is a book that has to touch on politics. But it is also a book that shouldn't identify itself as mainly tackling politics. This story with Adonis barely has a political idea even in there. And Captain America is a superhero long before he is a news pundit. A lot of people say comics have always been political, but the difference is the extent. Yeah, Captain America tackled Watergate, but his comic and character had an identity besides being the book that tackled Watergate. You know what happened after Captain America tackled Watergate? Falcon Man had a fight with some goofy costumed bad guys. And then Steve Rogers managed to slip on his own cape. There is a direct mirror here even. Because before this Adonis story, Slums McKenzie, he did some stuff about the KKK. That is political, obviously. Yeah, I agree. This Neil Pollard cover is great. The beauty of Captain America, of any comic really, is that they have the potential and the ability to respond to things happening in the real world and saying something about them. But then the next issue doesn't have to continue with the same diatribe. That's what Captain America comics are now. Every story is the writers and editors saying something about politics or culture, while also saying absolutely nothing about Steve Rogers or Captain America. I don't believe the solution is to simply stop telling political stories, especially with Captain America, but there absolutely needs to be a limit. People need to go back and see stories like this, or the Bloodstone Hunt, or the original Serpent League of America stories, and see that there is a lot more to the character than having him be the writer's mouthpiece. So now we get to our fight between the good Captain and Adonis. Adonis really is an adequate single-serving bad guy. He has a great setup, his origin is strong, some of the monster angst is layered on a bit thick, but it's a story that hits all the notes you expect. There is nothing whatsoever wrong about a comic accomplishing that. There are even bits where Captain America tries to talk Adonis down. He tries to extend a hand of friendship or an offer of help. And that is my favourite superhero tactic. But things turn south when the human fire tries to impress Adonis with a Twinkie. But in the end, it was beauty that killed the beast, yeah? Mainly a bulldozer though. Slurms McKenzie's Captain America work really is something that shouldn't be overlooked. They might not be the best Captain America stories of all time, but he was competently ploughing ahead with the series after an incredible low point in the character's publishing history. Slurms McKenzie turned it around, and he deserves the credit, much like he did on Daredevil, for establishing and re-establishing a tone and a theme and a level of quality that made it so that the next run on the title was brilliant. But this one is getting 7 thumbs up.